Hey there! You're listening to Amplify Your Legacy. This podcast is packed with insights and strategies to turn your passion into something that endures for generations. So get comfortable, stay inspired, and let's jump into today's episode with your host, Sallana Brown. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Amplify Your Legacy, where we're going to dive into stories, strategies, and insight that help you build a legacy with impact. I'm your host, Sallana Brown, and today we have someone truly special joining us, Fredrik Sandvall. He is a globally recognized investor, award-winning property entrepreneur, and a strategic advisor who has helped businesses raise millions in funding and has helped scale companies to 10x growth. So that's amazing. With a background in special operations and board level leadership, Fredrik brings a unique blend of discipline, creativity, and trust in everything that he does. So he's also a best-selling author of Trust is the New Currency. He's the host of Invest in You podcast and founder of Investing Skills Tribe on YouTube. So his mission is to help people achieve their goals and build smarter legacies through trust, strategy, and investment. So, Fredrik, I want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you ever so much, Sallana. Very nice to be here. Happy to help your audience to pick up some ideas.
Lovely. So, Fredrik, let's start where you are today. Can you tell us a little bit more about who you are and the work that you're doing currently?
Yeah. So I have got a big passion of helping others, and this passion together with curiosity has brought me to work in more than 50 countries, traveling just over 100. And today I'm dialing in from Asia, where I've got a very unusual work to help out between two nuclear powers that don't love each other. And I work with diplomatic and military operations on a very high level. So yeah, that kind of wraps things up without saying too much.
No, that's perfect. I also know that you founded an institute called eFunding Institute. What motivated you to start that, and how is that different from traditional funding approaches?
Yeah, that's a great question. Something that no one has asked me for a very long time. I noticed very clearly working with real estate investors, entrepreneurs, startup stage, later stage, all the way to like, can we put our company on the stock market? I noticed that on all of those stages, you need to level up. You need to be able to dare to ask for more money. People don't know really how to do that. And to be able to talk from experience, having helped many companies on all of those stages, all the way to the stock market before, gave me a very unique, similar sought after skill set. So I've been teaching, coaching, mentoring people doing that. And also I've been helping people as a part owner, as part of the board or external investor, to help them to many times like double in value or up to more than 10 times the value in less than 2 years.
Wow.
By unlocking the funding that they didn't know was possible, and also sharing for investors a story that makes sense with proper data and so on, and that can unlock levels that you don't think might be possible. And usually to most people, you can't do it because you just think about money, the bank, and the bank won't fund a company at those stages.
So true. I know your story is layered with discipline, creativity, and service.
Yeah.
If you think back, what key moment or person in your family shaped what you're doing today or the legacy that you're creating?
I would say that on my wife's side, which is not my side at all, we had the link to your podcast theme, like inspirational, innovative people. So going back to like the 1870s on my wife's side, like they have a forestry which been with a family for like many generations. So that was something very long lasting, which is still right now until today. Very much we are prepping our oldest son to take over the forestry legacy outside in terms of innovation. So many now use things all over the world. Like my grandfather father was dabbling with like the clock radio in this, which was later invented in 1941. And also, ties that can have like spikes. He was also doing that in the 1930s. That was later commercialized in the 1950s. He wasn't street smart enough to take a patent, but he did it for family use, which is really cool. And my grandfather, Ivan, he came up with lots of like innovation, and he was throughout his whole life working on the mission impossible, to make basically a machine that doesn't stop but just keeps running. He was trying to do that throughout his whole life. He never succeeded, but he came up with many other smart things like the ones I just mentioned. So yeah, and there's a lot to build on. But on my own side, when it was time for my parents, they were very much normal people, normal jobs. Like dad was working blue collar worker, mom was an under nurse, and I am reshaping again the family trajectory by creating, I think, the super humble legacy / empire by being bold. And the more people I help, the more likely that is to materialize. And that's really where I'm going with the rest of my life, to build for many generations to come. And also in the process of doing that, helping so many others to just tag on with their families and their lives. So yeah, I love that.
Love that. I love hearing family legacies, and I love that you're pioneering and passing the torch to not only your children, your descendants, but to other people as well. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, that's good.
One of the things that I admire is how you connect trust and investments. What actionable advice would you give our audience who's, I guess, strengthening their own legacy in this space, whether it's personal or professional?
Yeah, I would say stop watching too much social media, which is just the end phase of some people's lives, like decades of hard work or just fake stories, basically. The get quick rich theme that you might find will not help you. The faster you try to make money, the harder you will fall and the more you will lose. And therefore, if you think about legacy, it's not this quarter, it's not this year. It's like most people might set a goal like, this year I will accomplish this. Like, zoom out a lot. Like if you set like a 5-year target or a 10-year target, it becomes a lot more doable. So at the moment, the horizon that I'm working on, my next personal target, which is a very big number, not competing with other people, but with myself, to put like a benchmark, that is a 5 to 10-year goal.
Okay.
And when I hit that, the velocity of that momentum will last and continue for decades to come. So don't set too short targets. Don't get rich quick, and also learn from some of the wealthiest in the world. Again, they are at a late stage, but what can you see that are common themes? So I've been doing a lot of research into this, and real estate is very often part of the story. Building businesses is another part of the story. Saving is usually never part of the story. Yeah, I say that again. Saving is not part of the story. You can't save yourself rich. You can save yourself to continue on your level. But to really take that where you might be now to a much higher level, you actually need to take substantial levels of risk. Risk can be managed, but you need really all the biggest people we might read about in the news. They have put everything on the scales more than once. Elon Musk has become broke multiple times, and many of the biggest companies in the world, again, Nvidia, again, he basically put everything on the shopping board and accidentally won, and is now the most valuable company in the world because he has taken not once but 3 core really big decisions where like this is all or nothing 3 times in a row and succeeded. And that momentum is building decades later as well. So yeah, those are a couple of thoughts.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, so keeping in line with your book.
Yeah.
If trust is the new currency, what is the first deposit someone should make to build it?
This might sound transactional, but it's not. That is give to get. You need to be able to like you said before, like serve, give value, first. Don't ask for anything in return, but help other people, work for free, consult for free, earn the right to later potentially have an ask or to be invited to something later. So building trust, like you said, it is like a bank account. You can make deposits and withdrawals, and you always like to be on the plus side on the trust account. And unfortunately, it can just take one misstep to destroy years or even a whole legacy can fall on one stupid mistake. And temptations around us all day long. So yeah, is it worth your family legacy for that 5 minutes of pleasure? Probably not. Probably not. So yeah, think about that for long term.
Certainly. So you've worked with thousands of entrepreneurs and leaders. Could you share one or two success stories that really stand out?
Yeah, I'll take a family legacy story to start with. So this particular family, they have been working in real estate for more than 16 years at the time and accumulated a decent size portfolio, the kind of portfolio that's big enough so you can retire and you will be set for life. Just on like the rent that you collect and without thinking about the capital appreciation. And this has taken them 16 years. I was working on like on a one-to-one mentoring and coaching basis. So they did all the work, but I unlocked like the funding that they never thought about before. So introducing the right brokers, open up the new ways how they can get money, how they can delay the payment and how they can control assets without even buying them. And in less than 1 year, they more than doubled what they've done in the previous 16 years with not any particular increase in risk or anything at all. Not really just cheating and remortgaging, but I'm talking about doubling the amount of net value. So that's really cool. So that's a family example. And from a business example, one fintech company I was working with, I helped them to create a storyline that was showing a trajectory and the future of the company. And with that and a few other tools, we were able to 10x the company in less than 2 years. So take it from a value of roughly 1 million up to 10 million plus in just 2 years by, again, using some of the financial magic, which is very unusual. But there are some really good people out there who knows how to do this. Many of them are in private equity, venture capital, and high-level investment banks. But you can find people like me who have found these magic tools as well.
Well, that's amazing in itself. I love it. How do you measure success, not just financially, but in legacy terms?
I think longevity is a key thing there. So we had just a conversation between myself and a few colleagues here. And we were like, recently we had never met face to face, some of us. And we were like started to guess ages. And my stories didn't quite make sense with considering how old they think that I look. But they were like many years off. So actually, I'm probably older in my passport than I feel in reality. Think about investing in yourself, your health, more than anything. Everyone who's got too much money, they will give up all of it to be either younger, fitter, to have more years to live. And with that said, live when you're doing your legacy. So do enjoy the journey and not only the final destination, because most people I've been working with, the ultimate destination, many people don't even celebrate it. They just like, okay, this kind of personality type, they're like, okay, done, next. There's not even celebration, like, okay, if that was now your first 100 million, like, okay, I can do 250, let's go. And they don't even recognize and appreciate the hard work and the people around them that took them to the first 100. So yeah. Live the life, enjoy it, and try to live longer by doing some of the things we know what we should do, like training, eating, sleeping, the basics.
Yes, I see that.
Easy to say, harder to do.
So true, so true. I definitely agree. Okay, so do you see your legacy as something that you're going to pass down to your children, to other colleagues, or to other entrepreneurs that you've coached?
Yeah, I would say all of the above. And also something I found super inspirational long time ago. I was on a diving boat in Thailand, and many of the guys on board were entrepreneurs because, again, it was not touristic season. So the people who were on board that trip, they were not the usual people, just random people. And one of them, I spoke with, and we spoke about like career goals, and he said like, I like to help at least 100,000 people. And I said, oh, that's cool. Go like in what way? Like, well, I already built a couple of cities. We've done more than 100 schools, and we have factories. Like, what? So, and he was not, he was not even 30, he wasn't even 30 years old. And he's also built a couple of smaller cities that are self-sustainable with schools, works, shops, and basically everything. He was doing this in India, and he was from India himself. But I found that like that's so cool. When you basically you're not building your legacy, you're building a whole community, and this is a quite big community. He was aspiring for and already was well on his way, and he was even 30. So that, I have no idea where he got the ideas from. Didn't dig that deep, but I think that's one of the coolest example, and I bet many people who got too much money, but that's more inspiration, I think.
Well, that in itself is amazing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so how intentional are you about documenting or capturing your legacy so others can carry it forward?
That's a really good one. I think what I'm doing is like writing books is one part of it, podcast, sharing, and I do share a lot of the journey in a transparent way. And of course, I'm sharing it from stage as well with helping other people. I think that is part of it, but I think many people like to outlive their own life, and to write a book or plant a tree are two ways to do it, and have a family might be another one. I've done all of those. I planted a tree, many trees. I've written a couple of books, only one is published so far, and two lovely boys, and they are growing up to be their own guys without becoming spoiled brats. So I try to make it tough for them. So they are trying to survive university years without student debt, without me passing them lots of money. So I think that's it's hard not to give when you can, but it's way better for them in the long term. So instead of getting entitled and just expect handouts, but actually to go to a job that they might or might not like, to do the hours to see that actually, just looking upon the people in the same workplace as myself, do I want to be here in 60 years? No, probably not. So that they see that they need to upskill themselves to step out of where they are right now, and that's one way, a way to trick them to learn more. It's hard to have children. It's very hard.
Love it. Love it. Another question that I have is, what's the biggest misconception people have about raising capital or building wealth?
I would say raising capital to start with. It seems like something magical that can't be done. It can actually be done by basically anyone with the right person holding their hand. So that's the raising capital. Like, it is much more doable than you think. And in terms of misconception around wealth, there are different kinds of wealth. Be happy with yourself at your level, and that in itself is a huge level of wealth. Because many people have got too much wealth, but they're not wealthy on the inside. So try to be wealthy on the inside by having gratitude and appreciate where you are and how far you come so far. I think that's more important than the actual amount in the account. But it's a big difference between being rich and wealthy. And nowadays, like, research show different things, but to be really, really wealthy, to be a millionaire in dollars is not wealthy anymore. It's depending how you see it, might not even be rich, because if you got like one big disaster, financially, legal, or whatever, that can easily cost you one or multiple $1 million right away. So to have a really big buffer, and depending how you this question, you're probably having many tens of millions before you move into the bracket of wealthy.
Okay, so what do you see as the future of crowdfunding and fintech and legacy building?
Yeah. I see crowdfunding as super powerful. Why? Because it means that everyone can benefit. More people can actually get a return, which is much more interesting than the bank. So I see it more interesting from the people who are putting in the money than the people who are receiving the money. So it's a way how to democratize investments, crowdfunding. And then, of course, on the receiving end, I've been trying both crowdfunding for real estate and fintech. I've been doing things on Kickstarter. So I've been trying different variations, and they're all powerful if you pick the right one for your purpose. And there are many other good ones for like early stage companies, for example, Cedars, just to mention one. But the common theme and what people don't know or understand, you can't come to any platform and just expect the platform to give you money. Usually you need to bring something really good, relevant with the platform, and you need to have your own audience, which will amount for at least half of the amount to bring to the platform to get the momentum. So people that you don't know will put in the rest. To come cold to a platform and hope for a couple of social media posts, unfortunately, that will lead to disappointment. So you unfortunately need to bring both a good deal, good terms, as low risk as possible, with as high return as possible, and people that already trust you, that will buy into this and start the needle moving. To bring your own crowd, that's something that no one is talking about, but that's the reality of this. If it should work.
That's true. That is so true. Okay, so as far as mentorship, you do that with a lot of the entrepreneurs inside of your institute. What role does mentorship play in your own journey, both giving and receiving?
I would just not even talk about giving. I will just focus on receiving. I have invested a significant amount of money in terms of having other people to help me. Why? So I can translate that and pass it on to other people. So you always need to, if you like to be any kind of relevant influencer leader, you need to upskill yourself the whole time. So it's changing so quick. And this has mainly helped me to save time. It has also helped me to not waste money in terms of like I invest into the help instead of investing in mistakes. Like it will cost more to do the mistakes yourself. And I've been using this in business. I've been using this in real estate. I've been using this in how to finance. And also find people in your environment that are one or two steps ahead of you and pick up ideas from them. And also if you struggle to find your mentor, to read books can be a very cheap way to have an indirect mentor. You can spend many hours with yourself or with myself by listening to a podcast. You can actually find very cheap indirect influences, and it's been said many times before. It goes back to research from Harvard. Like you're the average of the 5 people you spend your time with, and let at least one of those 5 people be someone in your ear when you're doing exercise or walking or commuting. So you can spend not only time with your family and your work colleagues that might not have so inspirational targets, but someone who's out there and doing stuff that you really find fascinating. You can spend time with them one way or two ways by just tapping into relevant, not just fun stuff online, but educational things.
So true. Okay, so if you can go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Yeah, just do it.
Like that.
No regrets. Like throw yourself out there, volunteer for things that might not be in your comfort zone, stretch and learn. And I'm so proud to see my kids are also daring to raise their hand and expose themselves to actually stretch the comfort zone.
It's worth it. Certainly.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you stay inspired and avoid burnout when you're operating at such a high level?
Focus and discipline are my 2 keywords. So the theme of like multitasking is not really true. Like go to all research, we should like focus on like one thing alone. And the focus on one thing alone allows me to do one thing and then I do the next thing. And I've learned something many years ago. When I did my captain's training, we spoke about something called the Pareto efficiency. That's also called the 80-20 rule. I did a very different interpretation. Often, like 20% of your customers might be 80% of your revenue. Take an example. The same with planting seeds and so on. But I did a different interpretation. If I spend like 20% of the time on a task, I can reach 80% of the output. 80% is still in school world. It's a distinction. In work life, it's a lot more than most people will put into a task. And this was a reprogramming because I came from special forces, which is like you do everything to 100% and some. So this was for me a matter of disciplining down the input. That meant that I can do now 5 things to 80% solutions in a fraction of the time. This alone allowed me to be responsible for very important military operations while running companies, while training and partying without alcohol and studying at 3 times full-time speed at the same time.
Wow.
Not getting 100% results, but again, 80% is a lot more than most people have patience to do with one thing. And of course, to stay fit and high energetic, it's helping a lot. Otherwise, you probably don't want to do this. And I don't need to sleep so much either. That gives me more hours.
It does.
My colleagues are sleeping at the moment, so yeah. And it's 11:30 here.
Okay, so another question is, if you can define your legacy in one word right now, what would it be and why?
Generational. So again, it can't become a legacy unless you think beyond your own generation.
So true. So true. So
trick question, trick one.
So Fredrik, this has been powerful. I love this conversation, from trust to innovation, from family legacy to really global deals. You've shown us that building a legacy isn't just about the money. It's about the lives that we touch and the path that we open for other people, especially with your institute. So for our listeners who are curious about raising capital and building trust and exploring how to grow your company and their legacy, how can they reach out to you and learn more about your institute?
Yeah, so the tough thing and the hurdle for guys out there to consider that I have now pretty much stopped just to exchange time for money. So I'm very much still helping people, but as a part owner in the business. So often I am unlocking a level for a part of the business. So think almost like consulting for equity. So that's very much the terms that you need to at least consider before even trying to chase me, for that matter. But how it works, you can really easily find me and my work on LinkedIn, super easy. I am soon moving out to Dubai, where I will be operating from, but I'm traveling all the time. So I'm all over the place, and you can very easily just find me. I still take time to help people. Like we said earlier, I'm very happy to help people for free because it will help me later, one way or another, because it comes back sooner or later.
It's a lot that I hear on this podcast, and I encourage other people to come forward and share what they're doing, even if it's a legacy that they're passing on from someone, whether it's an ancestor, whether it's a mentor. Exactly. I love hearing stories like that.
Yeah. Tough thing out there for people who are trying to take over the torch. Is really, really hard to be second and third generation. Is so much harder because often, according to statistics, many of the so-called self-made people are actually immigrants. So they're not only in a new community, they're in a new world and creating this. And because they have to grind and hustle and do so many things, it is very hard to replicate for the next generation. So that is maybe one of the biggest challenges, how to pass on to the next ones.
Yeah, and many of the next generation have their own plans.
Yeah, exactly.
They're starting their own legacies, and they're not so willing to continue on a legacy. Yeah, that's definitely something that have to be considered. So, Fredrik, any last tips or advice that you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, I would say do not miss the AI train. Everyone, even claiming to be experts, are still just learning. AI has been here so short time, but if you miss to experiment, try it out, and use it to enable and to multiply your time, you will probably lose out on job opportunities. You might lose a whole company and potentially lose and crash the legacy before it's even take off because you are missing the extremely high pace that we're moving at the moment. So don't miss the AI train.
That's so true. Well, thank you, Fredrik, so much for sharing your wisdom with us today. And to everyone listening, remember, a legacy isn't built in the future. It's built in the choices that you make today. Until next time, keep amplifying your legacy.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye for now.
That's all for this episode of Amplify Your Legacy. A huge thank you for listening in today. I hope today's conversation has sparked some reflection on your own legacy. Let's keep the conversation going. Connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Sallana Brown. And visit sallanabrown.com for more resources on growing and preserving your legacy. Be sure to leave a rating or review. It helps others discover the show. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out on future episodes packed with inspiration and actionable strategies. Until next time, keep amplifying your legacy.